Hello, everybody. This is Jimmy, and you're reading with Jimmy. Today we're reading Mythology. This is the story of Atalanta from Ovid's Metamorphoses, translated by Ian Johnston. Ready? Okay, here we go. Let's start down here, right? Venus and Adonis are talking. She stretched out, pressing against the grass and him, her neck reclining on the young man's chest. And as she spoke, she mixed her words with kisses. This is Venus and Adonis talking. So Venus says, "You may perhaps have heard about a girl who in a race could beat the fastest men. That story was not just a foolish tale. In any contest, she outran them all. But it was hard to tell if her fast pace deserved more praise than her great beauty. Once she asked the god about a husband, and the god replied, 'You do not need a man, Atalanta, for you getting married is something to avoid. But nonetheless, you will not escape it, and while still alive, you will lose yourself.'" Jimmy put a little mark here. Remember to pay attention when Jimmy draws arrows. What the god prophesied scared Atalanta. Scare anybody. So she lived her life in shady forests, and she did not get married. She escaped the crowds of eager suitors by demanding very harsh conditions. She said, "No one will wed me until a suitor beats me in a race. So run against me. To the swift will go a wife and a wedding, but for the slow, the prize is death. And on those terms, let the contest start." Venus continues, "Yes, she was cruel, but the power of beauty is so great. Many men agreed to the rule that she set, and they courted her. At one unequal race, Hippomenes looked on from where he sat, and he asked himself, why would anyone seek out a wife at such an enormous risk? He found the young men's passion foolish, excessive. But when he saw her face and her unclothed body, one like my own, Adonis, or yours, if you were female, he was amazed. And raising his hands, he said, 'Those of you I criticized just now, forgive me. Because when I spoke, I didn't know that you were competing for a prize like this.' And by praising her, he lights a fire of love. And when his jealousy has made him tense, he prays that none of the young challengers will beat Atalanta. And then he says, 'But in this contest, why not try my luck? A daring man will get help from the gods.' So while he is reflecting to this question, Atalanta races past on feet like wings. To the young Boeotian, she seems to fly with all the speed of a Scythian arrow. But her beauty astounds him even more. On her swift feet, the facing breeze blows back her ankle straps. Her hair is thrown across her ivory shoulders. Embroidered ribbons flutter below her knees, and a blush spreads across the girlish whiteness of her flesh. Just as a purple awning spread across the white hallways colors them in a different shade. While the stranger is noticing all this, the final lap is over, and the winner, Atalanta, receives a festive crown, and the losers groan and pay the penalty, as they have promised. But Hippomenes, undeterred by the fate of these young men, steps forward and looks right at the girl, and he calls out, "Why seek to win an easy crown defeating these sluggards? Why not race with me? If fortune gives me strength enough to win, you will not be ashamed to be defeated by such a worthy man. For my father was Megaris, the son of Oceantus, whose grandfather was Neptune. So I am the great-grandson of the ruler of the seas. My courage is as noble as my race. And if I lose, you will have overcome Hippomenes, and thus have won for yourself a great and a famous name. And as he spoke these words, the daughter of Shonas looked at him with a sympathetic face, uncertain whether she would prefer to win or lose. And then she murmured, "What god so despises beauty that he wishes to destroy this man and tells him to seek marriage and risk his precious life? In my own view, I'm not worth that much. It's not his handsome form which moves me, though I could be influenced by that as well, but the fact that the youth is still so young. In his age, which makes me sensitive, not the man himself. What of his courage and of his heart, which is not afraid of death? By his descent, is he not fourth in line from the god who rules the seas? And besides, doesn't he love me and think our marriage so important that he would die if harsh fate denied me to him? While you can, stranger, go away and leave these bloody courtship rites. A match with me is cruel. No woman would be reluctant to become your wife. A girl with sense would welcome such a chance. But why should I concern myself with you, when many others have already perished? Let him look to himself, and let him die, if he will not be deterred by the deaths of all those suitors, and is pushed to it by weariness with life. Will he die then, because he wished to share his life with me, and suffer death, which he does not deserve as a reward for love? If I prevail, people will hate me for my victory. But that's not my fault. Oh, I wish you would stop. Or if you are mad to do this, I wish you might just run faster. Look at that young face, those boyish features, like a virgin girl. Alas, poor Hippomenes, how I wish you had not seen me. You deserved to live. If I had had more luck, if grievous fate did not hold me back from marriage, then you would be the one I would want to share my bed. And so she finished, like an inexperienced girl feeling her first twinge of sexual desire, and unaware what she's doing, she loves, but does not realize that she is in love. And now, as her father and the people cry to have the usual race, Hippomenes, Neptune's descendant, prayed to me, who's speaking, Venus, begging for my help. O Satyra, Venus, I entreat you to look on me with favor in this risky contest. Nourish the flames for which you yourself have lit. A gentle breeze carried his flattering request to me. I admit, it moved me. So without delay, I offered him my help. There is a field, I said, the finest field of land in all of Cyprus. The natives call it Tamasus, and long ago their elders consecrated that land to me, and they gave instructions that it should be a gift, and they added it to my temples. A tree grows there, right in the middle of the field, and its leaves are gleaming yellow, and its branches rustle with golden yellow fruit. And it so chanced that I had left that tree, and in my hand I held 3 golden apples that I had just picked. So I went up to Hippomenes, hiding myself from everyone but him, and I told him how he should use these apples. The trumpets gave the signal. Both runners leaned out and raced from the starting line. Their flying feet skimmed the surface of the sand. You could imagine them speeding over ocean waves without moistening their feet. They were going so fast, racing over ears of standing grain. The young man's spirits were stirred up by the shouts and the crowd's support as they all cried, "No, no, Hippomenes, this is the time. Push ahead right now with all your strength. Don't hold back. You'll win this race." It was not clear which one was happier to hear those words, Hippomenes or Atalanta. How often, when she could have passed him, did she slow down, gaze at his face for a while, but then move on by against her will? He was gasping for air. His throat was parched, with the end still far away. And at that moment, Hippomenes tossed out ahead of her one of the 3 apples taken from the tree. She was astonished. She was keen to have that shining apple, so she swerved. She ran off course and picked it up, the rolling gold. Hippomenes sped past her. Those looking on applauded wildly. But she raced ahead, making up for her delay, and once more she left the youth behind. And then, when she was held up by the second apple, but she again ran past him again. And there still remained the last part of the race. The young man prayed, "O goddess, you who offered me this gift, stand by me now." With all of his youthful strength, he tossed the shining gold off to the side, far into the field, so that Atalanta would require more time to run and get it. She was not sure if she should chase the fruit, but I forced her to pick it up, and then once she had it, I made it heavier, so that the apple's weight, I slowed her down. And with time, she wasted getting it. And well, to stop my story lasting longer than the race itself, Atalanta lost. And the man who triumphed led away his prize. Surely I deserve his thanks, Adonis, and a tribute offering of incense, right? But he forgot. I got no thanks from Hippomenes or any incense. I felt a sudden rage. His contempt annoyed me. And so to make sure I would not be slighted in the future, I took care to make them an example, and I stirred myself to move against the pair. The 2 of them were going past the shrine, hidden in the forest grove, a temple which famous Echion built long ago for the mother of the gods to fulfill a promise that he had made. Their lengthy trip convinced them that they should stop there for a rest. My godlike power roused Hippomenes so that he was keen to make love with his wife. And though the time was not appropriate, near that temple was a shady hollow like a cave, and with a natural stone roof, a place that sacred to the old religion in which the priests had gathered images, many wooden figures of ancient gods. Hippomenes went in this holy place, and they polluted it with forbidden sex. The sacred figures turned their eyes away, and Sibyl, the great mother of the gods, in her turret crown, was wondering whether she should plunge the guilty couple deep into the river Styx. But that punishment seemed insufficient, and so a tawny mane covered their necks, which had been so smooth before, and their fingers they bent into claws, and their arms turned into legs, and their entire weight was centered in their chests, and their tails sweep the surface of the sand. They have angry faces, and instead of words, they utter roars, and they roam the forest rather than the rooms of their own home. As lions, both of them are terrifying to others. But once Sibyl subdued them both, their jaws bite down quite tamely on her chariot bit. And so, Adonis, my love, avoid those beasts, and along with them, all the savage creatures which do not flee, but stick out their chests and stand prepared to fight. And if you do not, your courage will be fatal to both of us. Venus gave this warning to Adonis. Well, there you go. You've been reading the Myth of Atlanta. Before I finish, I want to go back for a moment and just page through this quickly to give you some footnotes. Is that okay with you? So Venus and Adonis are talking, right? She's a fast woman, right? She beats all the men and then they die if they can't beat her. So Hippomenes falls in love with her and he makes a deal with Venus. He says, help me win. And these are some footnotes of who the warriors are and his lineage, where he comes from. He was actually the grandson of Neptune, the god of the sea. And this is his lineage. And that had a lot to do in those days with the Greeks, right? This was the daughter, this was his father, her father, pardon me. He was a figure in Greek mythology, the king of Boeotia and the father of Atlanta. So when you see these little arrows, which we'll do in the analysis, we're going to go back and try to understand this myth a little better. But he uses the apples, but he makes a mistake. What's his mistake, right? He didn't thank the gods for helping him win Atlanta. And so he had to pay the price, right? The Greek goddess of love and beauty, right? Her Roman equivalent is Venus. That's who he's praying to. Cynthia, right? And that's just a few footnotes that I wanted you to read. This translation by Ian also has some notes on the bottom that you can read and pause when Jimmy's reading with you. So this is actually from Ovid's Metamorphoses. This is the story of Atlanta you've been reading with me. I want you to learn more about mythology, very important in the classical literature that we read together on my website. www.readingwithjimmy.com is where you're at, or you're on my YouTube channel. And be sure to visit me the other classics with me that are on my website. If you have a question, you got a comment, you disagree with one of my interpretations, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com. And remember, keep running, but be careful. Make sure you know what the bet is before you run your race. Thanks for visiting with me. Have a great day. Bye.